So we just finished off with controlling from the north-south. So now we're going to go into a few side control submissions. North-south submissions, I kind of consider those positions very similar, if not the same. Side control and north-south, scarf hold, you should really be flowing between all of them, not just holding one. So anytime you pass someone's guard or you find yourself in side control or in north-south, you should be dynamically moving between the positions to maintain control, kind of like how we were discussing earlier, how those movements and how their reactions and your reactions, you can find yourself in good positions to kind of float around them rather than just trying to hold on to them super tight. So now we're going to look at a few submissions from here. The first one is going to be a really exciting name. It's called the Scorpion Deathlock. Now, you don't really see this one too much in competition, but it's definitely a very strong threat. And I always teach it because I think it's important to be able to throw out a lot of attacks while you're on top, just to stimulate the action and just always be threatening and stick to the core of what jiu-jitsu is about, which is looking for those submissions, okay? So this is your good arm?
Yep.
Okay, so put your head over here and I'll demonstrate in this direction. Point your feet that way a little bit. Okay, so when we're in north-south position, we can kind of decide which side we want our head on, right? So we're moving left to right, but you always want to make sure you're controlling underneath the arm or having both arms over and sort of cupping here at the elbows as well. You can also control the hips here like this, but what's the most important for this submission is we want to make sure that his arm is separate from his body. So I don't want the arm that I'm attacking to be tight here. So if I have north-south like this and the arm is tucked underneath, and I really want this arm, I need to make sure that my arm is over it and I've peeled it away from his rib cage, okay? That's what's going to expose it for the actual Scorpion Deathlock here, okay? So I need to just open it up. This is surprisingly easy to do. It doesn't take any tricky control or wrist grabs. You literally just put your hand here to the ground and then just pull it open, okay? Once I pull it open, I'm trying to pull it into my ribs like this. Pull it into my ribs. So I'm going to scoot my hips forward a little bit and start walking my ribs closer to his arm here like this. Now, I grip along his tricep here just so he can't wiggle his arm out and start trying to turn it in or hook it in a place where it's safer. So you're just gripping it. I'm kind of lining my forearm up along his and controlling. My other arm is just blocking at the hip, trying to just maintain a solid base, spread out really wide, making sure I'm spreading out my weight all over the ground. So no matter where he wiggles and moves, I'm staying solid and consistent in my position. From here, my left arm is going to be underneath his other armpit, pinned here. And now I'm going to start walking my hips forward. So I'll put my hips forward and on the ground. So I pulled his arm forward like this, and I'm controlling here with his arm up. Now this is a really strong control. I wouldn't call it north-south. It's sort of like a backwards scarf hold, okay? But what's key about this is his arm is bent around my ribs, and I'm kind of pinching it with my thigh and my arm here like this, holding it in place. So he doesn't really have an opportunity to wiggle his arm out. So if Sunshine tries to move his arm, you can see he really only has rotation from the elbow up. He can move his arm from the elbow up, but that's not really going to help him. So I need to control below this joint. This is the joint I'm attacking. I'm going to control down here, so he can only move his upper arm. If I control too high, he can still tuck his elbow in. So it's not as strong of a control. So I control high around his tricep. And you can go with your hand facing you or your hand facing away from you, whatever you like. I probably prefer to hook like this. So hooking around the elbow and cupping at the tricep here. Now, my left hand is actually going to be pinching at his belt. So I'm gripping his belt just to secure me in place. And now we're immediately going to start threatening the submission itself. So it's actually going to be a shoulder lock here, almost like an Americana. So if an Americana looks like this, here, I'm bending the fingers back, and this is rotating the shoulder and putting pressure on the shoulder joint. So I'm going to do that same motion, but with my whole body instead of just using my arms. So I start walking my body so that I'm parallel to Sunshine, here. Parallel to your opponent, and from this point, you may feel like you're a little bit off balance. Like if you could bridge super hard, he might be able to throw you off. But you'll find it's pretty secure. Even if he does bridge, you can just kind of just chill. Like he's not really going to go anywhere. And if he starts to bridge, it actually opens you up for the next part of the technique to actually finish the submission. I'm still locked onto his belt with my left hand. I'm not just letting it go flying around. I need to have control. And as I walk my hips closer, my back is going to go flat to the mat. But the key here is I want to bring my leg up and in between his legs. Here. This is going to lock his hips down so he can't try and spin all the way out. If I commit hard to this submission without this leg here, he may be able to just roll all the way out. Okay? Scoot a little closer. So as I sit back, before my back goes all the way to the mat, I need to throw at least one leg over. So now if he tries to go to roll, I can catch and hold on here. So usually what I'll do is I'll just hook with my other leg underneath, like this. You don't have to bridge anymore, Sunshine. I'll just won't break your arm. How about that? So I'll hook with my other leg, just in case he does escape. I can find myself in a position where I can at least control his leg, potentially set up another attack. Okay? So I'm here, pulling this in, and I start walking back slowly. Once I start to fall before my back hits the mat, I'm going to throw my leg over his leg. Now the submission comes from, I've attached his arm to my body. So as I fall back here, this is where the pressure is going to come. Here, like this. And then, depending on how flexible the person is, you just need to bridge your hips. A lot of people will tap right here. But to finish someone who's a little more flexible, you just raise your hips and pull with your hands up towards your face. Here. So his arm is bending backwards. He can't escape. It's pinched underneath my armpit. Here, controlled. And you have a surprisingly good control here. You can't really roll or move anywhere. And then you just raise your hips. So again, from here, north-south, controlling on the left side of his body and grabbing his belt. I'm going to start walking my hips down and go into his tricep. Walk through, and as I go to fall, I throw my mirror leg up in between his legs. My bottom leg hooks underneath, and then I connect my hands and lean back here. And then if I need to, I can plant my foot on the ground and help actually raise my hips to finish the submission. So that's one of those submissions that if you see the opportunity, it's good to just go for it. Like if you catch someone's arms there, go for the actual scorpion deathlock submission, because even if they roll out or try and escape, you'll probably find yourself in a pretty good spot anyways, and then you've successfully attacked a submission. And it has a pretty high submission rate. When it's applied correctly, it can be really threatening. So just shoot that one out there. That's called the scorpion deathlock.